She insisted she was too old, but the young billionaire's love never wavered. Francesca Lovato turned 39 on a Tuesday, and the only person who remembered was her 13-year-old son. Jordan had made her breakfast burnt toast and scrambled eggs that were somehow both runny and dry, and presented her with a card he'd clearly made during homeroom. Inside, in his messy teenage scrawl, "Happy birthday, Mom. You're not that old. Love you." Not that old? She'd laughed, kissed his forehead, and pretended the words didn't land like a punch to the gut. But now, standing in front of the bathroom mirror in her small Charlottesville apartment, Francesca saw exactly what her son had been too kind to say outright. She was old. The lines around her eyes had deepened. The silver threads in her natural curls had multiplied. Her hands looked like her mother's hands, and her mother had been gone for 8 years. 39, 1 year from 40, 1 year from officially old. Her phone buzzed. Vivian, her best friend since college, right on schedule. "Happy birthday, Franny. Please tell me you're not staring at yourself in the mirror having an existential crisis." Francesca turned away from her reflection. "I'm getting ready for work." "Liar. You're spiraling. I can hear it in your voice." Vivian's tone softened. "You're beautiful. You're thriving. Your non-profit just got that grant. Jordan is doing great in school. Stop letting that number define you. Easy for you to say. You're 38. For 3 more months. Then I'm joining you in the land of too old for literally everything society tells us matters." Vivian paused. "Are you still coming to the fundraiser tomorrow night? My beautiful family, welcome to Romance and Love Stories. Here, we don't just tell stories, we breathe life into the kind of love that finds you when you least expect it, the kind that changes everything, the kind that reminds you why the heart never gives up. If this is your first time here, go ahead and subscribe and turn on your notifications, because every story we share carries a message meant for someone. And if you've been with us before, thank you. Truly. Your support keeps this community growing. Settle in. Stay with us till the very end. Drop a comment so we know how you feel. And don't forget to like this video. Now let's dive deep." Francesca had forgotten. The Community Foundation's annual gala, the one event where Charlottesville's wealthy elite pretended to care about people like the ones Francesca actually helped through her non-profit. She'd rather have a root canal. "Do I have to?" "Yes, your organization needs visibility. Plus, there's going to be someone there I want you to meet." Francesca's stomach tightened. "Viv, no, we talked about this. I'm not interested in being set up. He's successful, he's kind, and he actually cares about community work. Just talk to him. That's all I'm asking." "How old is he?" Silence. "Vivian, how old is he? Does it matter?" "It matters to me." "Fine. He's 27. But before you hang up..." Francesca hung up. 27. 12 years younger. When she was his age, she'd been married with a 1-year-old son, still believing life would turn out the way she'd planned. By the time he reached her current age, she would have already been divorced, grieved her mother, and rebuilt her entire existence from scratch. They were from different worlds, different generations, practically. Her phone rang again. She ignored it. The next evening, Francesca stood in the corner of the Omni Hotel ballroom, wearing a dress she'd bought on sale 3 years ago and shoes that pinched her feet. Around her, Virginia's wealthiest paraded in designer everything, sipping champagne that cost more than her monthly grocery budget. She didn't belong here. She never had. "There you are." Vivian appeared in a stunning red gown, dragging a man behind her. "Francesca, this is..." "Actually, we need to talk about the silent auction," Francesca interrupted, already backing away. "Excuse us." She pulled Vivian toward the ladies' room, heart hammering. "What are you doing?" Vivian demanded once they were alone. "Saving us both from an awkward conversation." "He's a good man, Franny. Successful, genuine, and yes, younger than you, but so what?" "So everything." Francesca's voice cracked. "I'm turning 40 next year. I have a teenage son. I run a non-profit that barely pays my salary. What could someone like that possibly want with someone like me?" "Love," Vivian suggested. "Connection, a real partnership with a brilliant, beautiful woman who changes lives for a living. You're romanticizing. You're self-sabotaging." Before Francesca could respond, her phone buzzed. "Jordan, texting from his father's house where he spent weekends. Emergency. Call me. Her blood went cold. She dialed immediately. Mom? Jordan's voice was small, younger than 13. Dad's in the hospital. They think it's his appendix. He's asking for you. Francesca was already moving. I'm on my way. Which hospital? UVA. Mom, I'm scared. I know, baby. I'll be there in 10 minutes. She burst out of the bathroom, nearly colliding with someone. Strong hands caught her arms, steadying her. Whoa, are you okay? She looked up into the most striking eyes she'd ever seen, grey-blue, concerned, belonging to a man who was unfairly handsome in a perfectly tailored tuxedo. I'm fine. Excuse me. She tried to move past him. You're shaking. His voice was gentle, his hands still on her arms. What's wrong? My son's father is in the hospital. I need to go. Let me drive you. I don't even know you. Clayton Shirley. He released her arms but stayed close. And you're Francesca Lovato. Vivian's been telling me about your work with housing insecurity. Let me help. You're in no state to drive. She wanted to refuse. Should refuse. But Jordan's scared voice echoed in her head, and this stranger's offer felt like a lifeline. Okay, thank you. Clayton Shirley drove like someone who'd been trained by professional drivers, smooth, confident, fast but not reckless. His car was a sleek black sedan that probably cost more than her annual salary. How old is your son? He asked, navigating toward UVA Medical Center. 13. Scary age. Old enough to understand things can go wrong, young enough to still need his mom. She glanced at him. You have kids? No. But I remember being 13 when my parents divorced. My mum fell apart. I needed her, and she wasn't available. The vulnerability in his voice surprised her. She studied his profile, strong jawline, dark hair styled just messy enough to look intentional, the kind of face that belonged on magazine covers. I'm sorry, she said. Ancient history. How long have you and your ex been divorced? 6 years. We're civil. For Jordan's sake. That's good. Shows maturity. He pulled into the hospital parking lot. Want me to wait? You don't have to. I want to. Something in his tone made her chest tight. She nodded, unable to find words. 2 hours later, Jordan's father was in surgery, not life-threatening, but he'd be hospitalized for a few days. Jordan sat between Francesca and Clayton in the surgical waiting room, his head on her shoulder, her arm around him. Clayton had stayed, brought them coffee, made Jordan laugh with a story about the time he'd convinced his prep school roommate that Virginia had wild kangaroos, treated a scared 13-year-old with genuine kindness. When Jordan finally fell asleep against her, Clayton spoke softly. He's a good kid. He's my whole world. I can see that. Clayton's eyes were warm. You're a good mother. How would you know? You met me 2 hours ago. I know what good parenting looks like, and what it doesn't. He paused. My father built an empire but barely knew my name. My mother checked out emotionally after the divorce. I raised myself mostly. So yeah, I recognize the real thing when I see it. Francesca felt something shift in her chest. This man, this wealthy, successful, impossibly young man, had his own wounds, his own story. I'm sorry you went through that, she said quietly. Made me who I am. He smiled, and it transformed his whole face. Besides, I turned out okay, mostly. Mostly? I'm terrible at vulnerability. I work too much. And apparently, I crash charity galas to drive beautiful women to hospitals. Beautiful. The word landed softly, dangerously. I'm 39, she blurted out. Clayton blinked. Okay? You're 27. Also okay? That's a 12-year gap. I'm aware how math works. His expression was amused. Is there a point to this? I wanted you to know, before you. She trailed off, unsure what she was even saying. Before I what? Ask you to dinner once your ex is out of surgery and your son is okay. Clayton leaned back in his chair, still smiling. Because I'm absolutely going to do that. And your age is not a deterrent. It's just a number. It's not just a number. It's years of experience. It's life stages. It's you being scared, he said gently. Which I get. But Francesca, I'm not some kid looking for a fling. I'm a man who recognizes something rare when he finds it. And I found you tonight." Her breath caught. "You don't even know me." "Then let me. Have dinner with me. One meal. If you hate it, we never speak again." Jordan stirred against her shoulder. She looked down at her son, her beautiful, sleeping boy who'd made her burnt toast, and told her she wasn't that old. Maybe he was right. Maybe she wasn't. "One dinner," she heard herself say. "But I choose the place. Somewhere normal, not fancy." Clayton's grin could have lit the whole hospital. "Deal. I like normal." She didn't believe him. Men like him didn't do normal. But sitting there in the fluorescent hospital lighting, her son's weight against her side and this stranger's hope in his eyes, Francesca let herself imagine just for a moment what it might feel like to be wanted, not despite her age, but exactly as she was. It was terrifying. It was exhilarating. It was the first time in years she'd felt truly alive. Francesca chose a diner. Not just any diner, Mel's. A 40-year-old institution on the outskirts of Charlottesville, where truckers ate breakfast at midnight and the coffee tasted like it had been brewing since the Carter administration. The booths had duct tape holding the vinyl together. The fluorescent lights hummed. The waitress called everyone honorable. It was the opposite of everywhere Clayton Shirley probably ate. She arrived first, sliding into a corner booth and immediately regretting everything. This was ridiculous. She was ridiculous. A 39-year-old woman with a teenager at home, going on a date with a man who probably didn't remember where he was on 9/11. Her phone buzzed. Jordan, texting from his father's hospital room. "Dad's doing better. Says thanks for coming yesterday. Are you on your date with the rich guy?" She'd made the mistake of mentioning Clayton. Jordan had been insufferable about it ever since. "It's not a date. It's dinner." "Sure, Mom. Have fun. Don't do anything I wouldn't do." "You're 13. You wouldn't do anything." "Exactly. Live a little." She was smiling at her phone when Clayton walked in. He'd traded the tuxedo for jeans and a simple grey sweater that probably cost more than her couch. But he looked normal, approachable, and still unfairly handsome. "You weren't kidding about normal," he said, sliding into the booth across from her. "I love this place. You've been here before?" "My driver used to bring me here when I was a kid. After particularly brutal board meetings with my father, George would sneak me out the back entrance, and we'd come here for pie." Clayton's smile was fond. "Best pecan pie in Virginia." Francesca felt something soften in her chest. "You had a driver named George." "I know how that sounds. Trust me." He picked up the laminated menu. "But George was more of a parent to me than either of mine. Taught me to drive, actually. Took me to my first day of high school when my mum was too drunk and my dad was in London. He died 3 years ago. Lung cancer." The casual way he said it, lung cancer, made Francesca's throat tight. "My mother died of lung cancer." Clayton's eyes met hers. Understanding immediate. "I'm sorry. 8 years ago. I was 31. She was 69. Never smoked a day in her life. But she grew up near a chemical plant." Francesca twisted her napkin. "She died 6 months after diagnosis. I had a 7-year-old son and a failing marriage, and I lost the one person who always made me feel like I could handle anything. That's why you started the non-profit." It wasn't a question, but she nodded anyway. "She died because she couldn't afford better medical care early enough. Because she'd spent her life in housing that made her sick. I couldn't save her, but maybe I could save someone else's mother." The waitress Doris, according to her name tag, appeared with a pot of terrible coffee. "What'll it be, hon?" "Pecan pie," Clayton said. 2 slices, and keep the coffee coming." After Doris left, Francesca raised an eyebrow. "Assuming I want pie?" "Everyone wants pie, especially here." He leaned back, studying her. "But I'm happy to order you something else if you'd rather." "Pie's fine." She wrapped her hands around the coffee mug. "So, George taught you to drive. What else did he teach you?" "How to tie a tie, how to stand up to my father without getting disowned, how to make a proper martini, though I was definitely too young for that lesson." Clayton's expression grew distant. "He taught me that money doesn't make you good, that kindness costs nothing, that the measure of a man is how he treats people who can't do anything for him." Sounds like he was a good man. "The best." Clayton's voice roughened. "When he died, I inherited everything my father built. The company, the wealth, All of it. I was 24, and all I could think was that George should have been there to see it, that he deserved it more than I did. Francesca saw it then, the weight he carried, the loneliness of inheriting a kingdom you never asked for. "You miss him," she said softly. "Every day." Clayton met her eyes. "Some losses don't heal. They just become part of who you are." Yeah. She understood that too well. They do. The pie arrived, and for a few minutes they ate in comfortable silence. He'd been right, it was exceptional pie. "Can I ask you something?" Clayton set down his fork. "Why did you agree to dinner if you're so convinced this is a bad idea?" Francesca hadn't expected directness. "Who says I think it's a bad idea? You've mentioned our age difference 3 times since I sat down. You chose the least romantic restaurant in Virginia, and you're sitting like you're ready to bolt at any second." He wasn't accusatory, just observant. "I'm not judging. I'm just curious what made you say yes." She could lie, make something up, but his honesty deserved hers. "Jordan," she admitted. "After we left the hospital, he said something. He said, 'Mom, that guy looked at you like you were the coolest person in the world.' When's the last time anyone looked at you like that?" She laughed, but it came out shaky, out of the mouths of 13-year-olds. "Smart kid. Too smart." She met his gaze. "But he's also young enough to think age doesn't matter, that a 27-year-old billionaire and a 39-year-old non-profit director with a teenager make sense together. Maybe he's onto something. Clayton, hear me out." He leaned forward. "You're right that we're in different life stages. You have a son. I don't have kids. You've been married and divorced. I've never made it to the altar. You run an organization that helps people. I inherited a company that makes money." He paused. "But Francesca, none of that means we can't connect. None of that erases the fact that I haven't stopped thinking about you since Tuesday night." Her heart was doing dangerous things. "It's been 3 days. Best 3 days I've had in years. You don't know me. Then let me." He reached across the table, palm up, an invitation. "Stop hiding behind numbers and let me actually know you." Francesca stared at his hand. Taking it meant something. Meant possibility. Meant risk. She took it. His fingers closed around hers, warm and sure, and something electric passed between them. "Tell me something true," Clayton said. "Something you don't tell people." The request was so unexpected, so intimate, that Francesca almost pulled away, but his thumb was tracing circles on her palm, and the gentleness of it undid her. "I'm scared all the time," she heard herself say. "Scared I'm failing Jordan. Scared the non-profit will collapse. Scared that I'm running out of time to matter. To be. More than just someone's mom or someone's ex-wife." She swallowed hard. "I'm turning 40 next year, and I feel like I'm supposed to have it all figured out by now. But I don't. I'm just tired and scared and convinced that I missed my chance at the kind of love that people write songs about." Clayton's grip tightened. "You haven't. How would you know? Because I'm looking at you right now, and I'm thinking that if you give me half a chance, I'll spend every day proving you wrong about missing your chance." His voice was fierce, certain. "You're not too old, Francesca. You're not too tired. You're not too anything except maybe too hard on yourself." Tears burned her eyes. "This is our first date. You can't say things like that on a first date." "Why not?" "Because it's too much, too fast, too real," he smiled. "I told you I'm terrible at vulnerability. What I didn't mention is that when I actually feel something real, I don't know how to be anything except honest about it. And Francesca, what I feel when I look at you is about as real as it gets." A tear escaped. She brushed it away, embarrassed. "I'm sorry. I don't usually cry in diners. First time for everything." He released one of her hands to signal Doris. "We're going to need more pie." Despite herself, Francesca laughed. "More pie is your solution?" "Pie solves most things. George taught me that too." They talked for 3 more hours, about everything and nothing. She told him about Jordan's terrible attempts at cooking, about the grant that was keeping her non-profit afloat, about her father who lived 2 hours away and called once a month like clockwork, but never visited. He told her about the pressure of running a company he'd never wanted, about his mother who'd remarried and moved to California without saying goodbye, about the loneliness of having everything except the things that mattered. By the time they left Mel's, Francesca felt like she'd known him for years instead of days. Clayton walked her to her car, a 10-year-old Honda that had seen better days. "This feels like the moment where I'm supposed to kiss you goodnight," he said, hands in his pockets, looking younger than 27 and older than his years all at once. Francesca's breath caught. "Is it? That depends. Would you want me to?" She should say no, should maintain boundaries, should protect herself from the inevitable heartbreak when he realized she was too complicated, too old, too much baggage. But standing there in the diner parking lot under the flickering streetlight, with this man looking at her like she was precious, Francesca made a choice. "Yes," she whispered. "I would." Clayton's smile was slow, devastating. He stepped closer, giving her time to change her mind. When she didn't, he cupped her face in his hands, gentle, reverent, and kissed her. It was soft, sweet, the kind of kiss that promised more without demanding anything. His lips were warm, his touch careful, and when he pulled back, Francesca felt like she'd been rearranged at a molecular level. "Can I see you again?" he asked, forehead resting against hers. "Yes." There was no hesitation this time. "Tomorrow?" "I have Jordan tomorrow." "Then bring him. We'll do something fun. Something appropriate for a 13-year-old and his increasingly smitten mother." "Smitten?" "Completely." Clayton kissed her again, brief and perfect. "Text me when you get home safe." She did, and they texted until 2 in the morning, trading messages like teenagers, and Francesca felt 39 and 17 and ageless all at once. Maybe, she thought as she finally drifted off to sleep, age really was just a number. Or maybe Clayton Shirley was just exceptional at making her believe impossible things. Either way, she was in trouble. The best kind of trouble. Saturday morning arrived with Jordan standing in Francesca's bedroom doorway at 7 a.m., holding her phone. He texted, Jordan announced. "The rich guy, Clayton." Francesca sat up, heart already racing. "You read my messages?" "You left your phone on the counter. It lit up. I have eyes." Jordan grinned, tossing her the phone. "He wants to know if we like go-karts." She opened the text. "Good morning. Slept terribly because I couldn't stop thinking about you. How do you and Jordan feel about indoor go-kart racing? I may have rented out the entire track for the afternoon." "Too much?" "He rented out the whole place?" Jordan's eyes were huge. "Mom, this guy's serious." "It's too much," Francesca muttered, already typing. "That's excessive. We can go during normal hours with normal people." His response was immediate. "Already paid for it. Non-refundable. Plus, I didn't want Jordan to have to wait in lines on his weekend. Selfish motives, more time to talk to his beautiful mother." Jordan was reading over her shoulder. "He called you beautiful." In a text. "To you specifically. Mom, he's into you. Stop reading my messages. Stop blushing like a teenager and I will." She wasn't blushing, except she absolutely was. They met Clayton at Richmond's premier indoor racing facility at noon. He was waiting in the lobby wearing jeans and a racing jacket that looked vintage and probably cost more than her monthly rent. "Jordan." Clayton extended his hand. "Good to see you again. Thanks for sharing your Saturday." Jordan shook it, trying to look cool and failing. "Thanks for the whole private track thing. That's pretty awesome." "My pleasure. Fair warning, though, I'm very competitive. I will try to beat you both." "Bring it," Jordan said immediately. "Mom's terrible at racing games." "Traitor," Francesca muttered, but she was smiling. The track was spectacular, a multi-level indoor course with sharp turns, elevation changes, and electric carts that could hit serious speed. Clayton hadn't just rented the track. He'd arranged for a professional instructor, a photographer, and a private lounge with food. It was absurd, excessive, completely over the top. Jordan loved every second of it. "Your form is good," Clayton told Jordan as they suited up in racing gear. "You play any sports?" "Basketball. I'm decent. Not great." Jordan adjusted his helmet. "Mom comes to every game, even though I mostly sit the bench." "Best games to watch," Clayton said easily. "Less stressful. You can actually enjoy it." That's what I tell her. She still eats popcorn the whole time. "I do not," Francesca started, but they were both grinning at her, ganging up already. She should have been annoyed. Instead, warmth spread through her chest. The racing was chaotic and perfect. Jordan and Clayton were evenly matched, both aggressive, both skilled, both talking trash in the friendliest way. Francesca came in last every heat, but she didn't care. Watching Jordan laugh, watching Clayton treat her son like he mattered, watching them bond over something as simple as speed and competition, it was everything. After the third race, Jordan pulled Clayton aside. Francesca pretended not to eavesdrop from the lounge. "So," Jordan said, 13 going on 30, "what are your intentions with my mum?" Clayton didn't laugh it off. "Honest answer? Yeah. I intend to spend as much time with her as she'll let me. Get to know her, make her laugh, show her she deserves to be happy." He paused. "And get to know you, because you're important to her, which makes you important to me." "She's gonna freak out about the age thing," Jordan said bluntly. "She already is." "I know. Does it bother you that she's older?" "No." Clayton's answer was immediate. "Does it bother you that I'm younger?" Jordan considered this. "Honestly, I think it's kind of cool. Mom's always dating guys her age or older who treat her like she's supposed to be grateful they even looked at her. You look at her like she's the prize." "She is." "Yeah," Jordan smiled. "I think so too. Just don't hurt her, okay? She acts tough, but she's not. Not really." "I know," Clayton said quietly. "I won't. I promise." Francesca's eyes were burning. She looked away before they noticed, pretending intense interest in her water bottle. They raced for another hour, then retreated to the lounge where a spread of food waited: burgers, fries, wings, and an absurd ice cream sundae bar. "You're trying to give us heart attacks," Francesca accused, eyeing the desserts. "I'm trying to make good memories," Clayton corrected. "There's a difference." Jordan was already building a sundae that violated several laws of physics. Clayton joined him, and they debated the merits of hot fudge versus caramel with the seriousness of a Supreme Court case. Francesca watched them, something shifting in her chest. This wasn't just attraction anymore. This was dangerous territory. This was her son getting attached. This was imagining futures that probably wouldn't happen. "You okay?" Clayton appeared beside her, holding a sundae he'd made for her, simple, not excessive, with exactly the toppings she would have chosen. "How did you know I like strawberries and whipped cream?" "You mentioned it last night, when we were texting at 1:30 in the morning and you were half asleep and rambling about your favorite desserts." She'd forgotten, but he'd remembered. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for the ice cream, for all of this, for making Jordan feel special, for—" she struggled for words, "for seeing us." Clayton set down his sundae, turning to face her fully. "Francesca, I need to tell you something." Her stomach dropped. Here it comes. The reality check. The "this is moving too fast" speech. The "I'm falling for you." His voice was low, meant only for her. "I know it's been less than a week. I know it's insane. But I can't keep pretending this is casual. It's not for me." She couldn't breathe. "Clayton, you don't have to say anything back. I just needed you to know, because every time I see you trying to talk yourself out of this, I want you to remember that I'm not going anywhere. Age difference, life complications, whatever excuses you're building, they don't matter to me. You matter. Jordan matters. This," he gestured between them, "matters." "I'm scared," she whispered. "Me too, terrified actually." His smile was crooked. "But I'd rather be terrified with you than safe without you." Jordan appeared, oblivious to the moment. "Hey, can Clayton come to my game next weekend? Tigers versus Spartans. It's going to be epic." "Well, not really, but I'd like him to come." Francesca's eyes widened. Basketball games were her thing, her and Jordan's tradition. Letting someone else into that space meant something. "If your mum's okay with it," Clayton said carefully, reading her expression. Jordan looked at her, hope naked on his 13-year-old face. He wanted this, wanted Clayton there, wanted to build something that looked like family. "Of course," she heard herself say. "You should come." Jordan's grin could have powered the city. Later, after they'd exhausted themselves with racing and sugar, Clayton walked them to Francesca's car. Jordan ran ahead to grab something he'd forgotten inside, leaving them alone. "He's a great kid," Clayton said. "He really is." Francesca leaned against her Honda. He likes you. I like him, a lot. Clayton moved closer. Is it okay that I'm falling for both of you? Her throat tightened. That's a lot of pressure to put on a second date. Third, hospital was first, Mel's was second. You're counting the hospital? Absolutely. Best first date I ever had. He was close enough now that she could feel his warmth. Can I kiss you again? Jordan could come back any second. So that's a yes? Despite everything, she laughed. Yes. This kiss was different from the parking lot sweetness. This one had heat behind it, promise, the weight of his confession. When they broke apart, Francesca was dizzy. Next weekend, Clayton said against her lips. Basketball game. I'll bring the stress popcorn. You're impossible. I'm persistent. There's a difference. Jordan returned, pretending he hadn't seen anything, failing spectacularly. They drove home in comfortable silence, Jordan eventually falling asleep in the passenger seat. When they got to the apartment, Jordan headed straight for his room. Before he disappeared, he turned back. Mom? Yeah, baby? I really like him. Like really. His voice was vulnerable in the way only 13 could be. Is it okay if I hope he sticks around? Francesca's heart cracked open. Yeah, sweetheart. It's okay to hope. After Jordan went to bed, she sat on her couch with a cup of tea, processing the day. Her phone buzzed. Clayton, thank you for today, for letting me into your world, for trusting me with Jordan, for being exactly who you are. Francesca, thank you for making my son feel like he matters. Clayton, he does matter, so do you. More than you know. She stared at those words for a long time, wanting to believe them, terrified to believe them. Another text. I know you're scared. I know the age thing freaks you out. But Francesca, when I look at you, I don't see numbers. I see the woman I can't stop thinking about. The one I want to know everything about. The one I'm falling in love with. Falling in love with. Not fallen, falling. Present tense. Active, real. She should pump the brakes. Should protect herself and Jordan. Should be reasonable. Instead, she typed, I'm falling too. It terrifies me. Clayton, good. We'll be terrified together. Francesca smiled into the darkness of her apartment, 39 years old and falling for a man 12 years younger who looked at her like she hung the moon. Maybe age really was just a number. Or maybe love was just bigger than math. Family, if you've stayed with this story until now, it clearly touched your heart. Share your thoughts below and tell me where you're watching from. And if you haven't yet, like the video and subscribe to join our romance and love stories community. Hit the hype button if this story meant something to you. It truly helps our channel grow. Let's keep going. The basketball game was supposed to be simple. Jordan's Tigers versus the Spartans at the Charlottesville Rec Center, a Saturday afternoon tradition that Francesca had never missed in 3 years. She'd texted Clayton the details, expecting him to show up in jeans and a team sweatshirt like every other parent in the bleachers. He arrived in a tailored blazer with a bag of gourmet popcorn and a bouquet of flowers. For her. You brought flowers to a middle school basketball game, Francesca said, accepting them because what else could she do? I brought flowers for you. The basketball game is just the location. Clayton kissed her cheek like it was the most natural thing in the world. These seats taken? They weren't. But as Clayton settled beside her, Francesca felt every eye in the gym turn their direction. The whispered conversations started immediately. Is that Clayton Shirley? What's he doing here? Oh my God, is he with Francesca Lovato? Isn't he like super young? Francesca's cheeks burned. Clayton either didn't notice or didn't care, his attention fixed on the court where Jordan was warming up. Which one's your son? Asked the woman sitting in front of them, Karen something. Another basketball mum Francesca had exchanged pleasantries with for years. Number 12, Francesca said, the tall one on the bench. And this is? Karen's eyes slid to Clayton, curiosity naked on her face. Clayton Shirley, he said easily, extending his hand. Friend of the family. Friend. The word shouldn't have stung, but it did. Oh, I know who you are, Karen said, shaking his hand a beat too long. Everyone knows the Shirley name. Your father was a legend. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. Clayton's smile was polite, professional. The same smile Francesca imagined he used in boardrooms. Karen turned back to Francesca, voice dropping to a stage whisper. "Well, aren't you full of surprises?" The implication was clear. What's a guy like him doing with a woman like you? The game started, saving Francesca from responding. Jordan got playing time in the second quarter, 6 whole minutes where he touched the ball twice and missed both shots. Clayton cheered like Jordan had scored the winning basket. "Great hustle, Jordan," he called out. Around them, other parents were watching, whispering. Francesca felt their judgment like a physical weight. At halftime, she excused herself to the bathroom. When she came back, Clayton was surrounded by 3 women from the Parent Association, all of them laughing at something he'd said. They were younger than Francesca, mid-30s, maybe, dressed better. One of them touched his arm while talking, her hand lingering. Francesca stopped walking. This was his world. These women polished, age-appropriate, without the baggage of teenage sons and failed marriages. They fit with him in a way she never would. "Mom," Jordan appeared at her elbow, sweaty and grinning. "Did you see my defensive play? I almost got a steal." "I saw, baby. You were great." "Clayton's been talking to Mrs. Henderson about her non-profit. I think she's flirting with him." Jordan wrinkled his nose. "It's weird. Doesn't she know he's with you?" "We're not. It's complicated." Jordan's expression shifted. "Mom, don't do this." "Do what?" "That thing where you decide you're not good enough and push away before anyone can hurt you. I've watched you do it my whole life." His voice was quiet, too old for 13. "He's not Dad. He's not those other guys. He actually likes you." "Jordan, I gotta get back. Just don't mess this up because you're scared, okay?" He jogged back to the bench before she could respond. The second half was torture. The Tigers lost by 12 points. Jordan played 3 more minutes, committed a foul, and looked miserable on the bench. Clayton continued to cheer like Jordan was an NBA prospect. After the game, they waited in the parking lot while Jordan changed. Clayton leaned against his car, hands in his pockets. "You've been quiet," he said. "Just tired." "Francesca." He turned to face her fully. "What's wrong?" "Everything. Nothing. The way women looked at him. The way he fit into spaces. She never would. The age gap that felt manageable in private and massive in public. "This is your world," she said finally. "These people, this life. And I don't belong in it." "What are you talking about?" "Karen knew your father. Those women at halftime know your family. They're connected to your world in ways I'll never be. And they're younger, Clayton, closer to your age. Without," she gestured vaguely, "without all my complications." Clayton's jaw tightened. "Is that what you think? That I want someone younger with fewer complications? I think eventually you'll realize that's what makes sense." "That's the stupidest thing you've ever said." His voice was sharp enough to make her flinch. "I'm sorry, but it is. You think I showed up here with flowers because I was settling? Because I couldn't find someone easier?" "I didn't say that. You implied it. And Francesca, it's insulting. To both of us." He stepped closer. "I know what I want. I've known since that first night at the hospital. And it's not some fantasy about easy or age-appropriate or whatever story you're telling yourself. It's you. For now. But what about—" "Don't." His hand came up, gentle on her cheek. "Don't borrow trouble from the future. Don't create problems that don't exist yet. We're good. Right now, this moment, we're good. Can't that be enough?" She wanted it to be. God, she wanted it to be. But before she could answer, Jordan emerged from the gym. He took one look at them and groaned. "Are you guys fighting? Already? We haven't even gotten to the hard stuff yet." "Despite everything," Francesca laughed, "we're not fighting." "You look like you're fighting." Jordan looked between them. "What happened?" "Your mom's scared," Clayton said bluntly. "Mom's always scared. That's literally her default setting." Jordan rolled his eyes. "What's she scared of now?" "That I'm going to wake up one day and realize I want someone younger." Jordan made a disgusted sound. "That's dumb. No offense, Mom, but that's really dumb." "I'm standing right here," Francesca protested. "Yeah, and you're being dumb." Jordan looked at Clayton. "She does this thing where she decides what other people are thinking and then gets mad about it. It's super annoying." "Jordan," Francesca was mortified. "What? It's true." He turned back to her. "Mom, I'm 13 and even I can see that this guy is crazy about you. Like, embarrassingly crazy. He rented out an entire go-kart track. He brought flowers to a middle school basketball game. He cheered when I missed 2 shots in a row. He's either the nicest human alive or he's really into you." Clayton was trying not to smile. Little of both, probably. "See," Jordan looked pleased with himself. "So can we stop with the drama and go get pizza? I'm starving." Francesca looked at her son, her wise, ridiculous, perfect son, and felt something in her chest crack open. "Pizza sounds good," she said quietly. They went to Mario's, a family place with checked tablecloths and arcade games in the back. Jordan demolished 3 slices, then disappeared to play skee-ball, leaving Francesca and Clayton alone at the booth. "I'm sorry," Francesca said, "for earlier, for assuming." "I get it." Clayton's hand found hers across the table. "You've been hurt. You're protecting yourself. But Francesca, I need you to hear me. Those women at the game, I didn't see them. I saw Jordan playing his heart out. I saw you cheering for him. I saw what matters. But they're nothing to me, less than nothing." His grip tightened. "I know you're scared about the age thing. I know people are going to whisper and judge and make you feel like you're not enough. But please, please don't let them win. Don't let their small minds make you small." Francesca's eyes burned. What if it's too hard? What if the staring and the whispers and the judgment wears us down? Then we deal with it together. Clayton brought her hand to his lips. "But Francesca, I'm not going to lie and say it'll be easy. People are going to have opinions. Your age, my age, your son, my money, they'll find reasons to doubt us. But none of that matters if we don't let it. I don't know how to do that, how to not care what people think. You practice, every day. You choose us over their opinions." He smiled. "Besides, you have a secret weapon." "What's that?" "Jordan, that kid is our biggest fan. And if a 13-year-old can see that we work, maybe everyone else can learn to shut up about it." She laughed despite herself. "He is pretty wise. Wonder where he gets it." They stayed until the arcade closed, watching Jordan win enough tickets for a plastic spider ring he immediately lost in the parking lot. Clayton walked them to Francesca's car, kissed her goodnight under the streetlights, and promised to call her later. He did. They talked until past midnight, about everything and nothing, and when Francesca finally hung up, she felt lighter than she had in years. Maybe Clayton was right. Maybe people would always judge. Maybe the age gap would always be there, a fact written in years and experience. But maybe, just maybe, love was bigger than all of it. She was starting to believe it might be. The months flew by like a dream. By the following summer, Francesca and Clayton had fallen into a rhythm that felt sustainable, real. He came to every one of Jordan's basketball games, even the away tournaments. She attended a charity gala with him, wearing a dress he'd bought her after she'd tried to refuse 3 times. Jordan spent a weekend at Clayton's estate and came home raving about the pool, the home theater, and the chef who made him personalized pizzas. They were building something. A life. A future. Then Francesca turned 40. The day itself was fine. Clayton had planned a small dinner party with Vivian, Jordan, and her father Thomas, who'd actually driven the 2 hours from Richmond. There was cake, laughter, and a gift from Clayton that made her cry. A framed photo from Jordan's last basketball game, all 3 of them in the bleachers, looking like a family. But the next morning, Francesca woke up and couldn't breathe. 40. 4 decades. Clayton was still in his late 20s. She was officially middle-aged. The math that had felt manageable at 39 felt insurmountable at 40. When she was his age, he'd been 16. When he turned 40, she'd be 52. When he was 50, she'd be 62 past retirement age. She'd be old while he was still in his prime. The thought followed her through the day like a shadow, through work, through dinner with Jordan, through the goodnight text from Clayton that usually made her smile. Instead, she stared at his message, "Happy day after birthday. You're even more beautiful at 40 than you were at 39. Can't wait to see what 50 looks like," and felt sick. 50. He was already thinking about her at 50, about them still being together in 10 years. But would he really want her then, when she had grey hair and aging hands and couldn't keep up with him anymore? The spiral started small, a thought here, a worry there, but by the end of the week, it had consumed her. She started cancelling plans. First a lunch date, then a movie night. When Clayton showed up at her apartment unannounced on Friday evening, she almost didn't let him in. Francesca. He stood in her doorway, concern written across his face. "What's going on? You've been avoiding me all week." "I'm not avoiding you. I've just been busy." "You're lying." He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "Talk to me. What happened?" "Nothing happened." "Something happened. Was it your birthday? Did I do something wrong?" "No, you were perfect. You're always perfect." The words came out bitter. "That's the problem." Clayton's expression shifted. "I don't understand." "I'm 40, Clayton." Her voice cracked. 40. And you're 28. In 12 years, you'll be the age I am now, and I'll be 52. In 20 years. Stop. He moved closer. "Don't do this." "Do what? Face reality? Look at the math? Obsess over numbers that don't matter?" "They matter to me." She was yelling now, months of fear pouring out. "They matter when I see the way women look at you, when I hear the whispers at Jordan's games, when I imagine you 10 years from now, stuck with someone old enough to be—" "Don't," his voice was sharp. "Don't finish that sentence." "Why not? It's true. I could be you're not my anything except the woman I love." Clayton's hands were shaking. "And I'm so tired of fighting this battle. I'm tired of proving over and over that your age doesn't matter to me. What do I have to do, Francesca? What will finally convince you?" "I don't know." Tears streamed down her face. "I don't know how to stop being scared that one day you'll wake up and realize you wasted your 20s on someone who was already past her prime." "Past your prime?" Clayton's laugh was hollow. "You think you're past your prime? You're the most alive person I know. The most passionate, the most dedicated, the most—" He broke off, running his hands through his hair. "I can't keep doing this. I can't keep fighting your fear when you won't fight it yourself." The words landed like a slap. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I love you. I have loved you since that first night at the hospital. I've loved you through every doubt, every insecurity, every moment you've tried to push me away. But Francesca, I can't love you enough for both of us. You have to believe you're worth loving. And right now, I don't think you do." She couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. "I need you to decide," Clayton said quietly. "Decide if you're going to let fear win. Because I'm all in. I've been all in from the beginning. But I can't force you to choose me if you're determined to choose doubt instead." "I'm not choosing doubt. I'm being realistic." "No, you're being a coward." The word hit her like a physical blow. She stepped back. "Get out." "Francesca." I said, "Get out." Her voice was ice. "If you think I'm a coward, if you think I'm not worth fighting for anymore, then leave." Clayton's expression crumbled. "That's not what I meant. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have." "Leave, please." He stared at her for a long moment, hope and heartbreak warring on his face. Then, slowly, he turned and walked out. The door closed with a quiet click that sounded like an ending. Francesca stood in her empty apartment and felt 40 years old in the worst possible way. 2 weeks passed. Jordan stopped talking to her beyond one-word answers. Her father called, heard the story and said, "Your mother would be disappointed in you." Vivian showed up with wine and told her she was self-destructing, the best thing that had ever happened to her. "He called me a coward," Francesca said, staring into her glass. "Were you being one?" Vivian asked bluntly. "I was being honest about my fears." "No, you were using your fears as an excuse to run before he could hurt you, which is exactly what Jordan said you've done your whole life." Vivian set down her wine. "Franny, I love you, but you're sabotaging this, and it's painful to watch. He's too young. He's 28, not 18. He's a grown man who knows what he wants, and what he wants is you, all of you, your age, your baggage, your beautiful, complicated life. But you won't let him have it because you're convinced you're not enough." "I'm not enough. I'm turning 40 while he's falling more in love with you every day, while he's planning a future with you, while he's being the partner you've always deserved." Vivian grabbed her hands. "When are you going to forgive yourself for being human, for having lived a life before you met him, for not being 25 anymore?" "I don't know how." Francesca whispered. Then learn, or lose him. Because Franny, he meant what he said. He can't fight your battles for you. You have to decide you're worth loving. Not despite your age, but exactly as you are. That night, Francesca couldn't sleep. She pulled out the framed photo Clayton had given her, the three of them at the basketball game. Jordan was laughing. Clayton's arm was around her shoulders. She looked happy. She looked loved. And she'd thrown it away because she was scared. Jordan appeared in her doorway, backlit by the hallway light. "You messed up," he said. "I know. He loves you, Mom. Like, really loves you. And you broke his heart because you're scared of getting older." Jordan's voice was thick. "Guess what? Everyone gets older. That's literally how time works. But not everyone gets to be loved like that. And you just gave it up." "I'm scared, Jordan." "So what? He was scared too. But he chose you anyway. He chose us anyway." Jordan wiped his eyes. "I thought you were braver than this." He left before she could respond. Francesca sat alone with the photo, with her 40 years, with the weight of her choices. And for the first time, she asked herself the question she'd been avoiding. What if being scared was okay, but letting fear win wasn't? What if Clayton was right, and she was worth loving exactly as she was? What if 40 wasn't the end of her story, but the beginning of the best chapter? She picked up her phone, stared at Clayton's number. Her thumb hovered over the call button, but she didn't press it. Not yet. Because if she was going to call him, if she was going to ask him to forgive her, she needed to mean it. She needed to actually believe she was worth fighting for. And for the first time in her life, Francesca decided to try. Really try. To see herself the way Clayton saw her, the way Jordan saw her, the way her mother would have seen her. Not as too old, or too complicated, or too much. Just as enough. It was the hardest work she'd ever done. But for him, for them, she was finally ready to do it. Francesca started with the mirror. Every morning for a month, she stood in front of it and forced herself to look. Not at the lines around her eyes or the silver in her hair, but at the woman Clayton had fallen in love with. The woman who'd built a non-profit from grief. The woman who'd raised a remarkable son. The woman who'd survived divorce and loss and rebuilt herself stronger. She was 40 years old. And maybe that was exactly enough. The work was harder than she'd expected. Therapy helped her counselor walk her through decades of internalized messages about women and aging, about worth being tied to youth, about believing she had to be perfect to deserve love. "You're not perfect," her therapist said during one session, "and Clayton doesn't want perfect. He wants you. Real, complicated, 40-year-old you." I pushed him away. "So pull him back. If you've done the work, if you actually believe you're worth it now." That was the question, wasn't it? Jordan helped, in his own way. He started leaving notes around the apartment, sticky notes on mirrors, tucked into her lunch bag, slipped under her door. "You're braver than you think. Age is just a number. Love is what counts. Clayton still asks about you. Just saying." That last one made her cry. It was Vivian who finally pushed her over the edge. They were having coffee at Mel's, their place now, sacred because it was where Francesca's life had changed. "He's leaving," Vivian said without preamble. Francesca's blood went cold. "What?" "Not permanently, but he's taking a sabbatical, 6 months in Europe to clear his head, figure out what he wants to do with the company." Vivian stirred her terrible coffee. "He leaves next week." "Next week?" Panic clawed at Francesca's throat. "But I haven't. I was going to call him. I was working on myself first." "Franny, you can work on yourself forever. At some point, you have to actually take the leap." Vivian's expression was gentle. "And if you wait until you're perfect, until you're completely healed, you'll wait forever. Sometimes you have to choose love while you're still scared. That's what makes it brave." Francesca drove to Clayton's estate that evening, her hands shaking on the wheel. The gates were open. He was expecting someone, probably the property manager. She pulled up the long driveway, past manicured lawns and sculptures that probably cost more than her car. The house was massive, beautiful, and utterly wrong for him. She could see that now. He didn't belong in this monument to his father's success. He belonged somewhere real, somewhere he could breathe. She knocked, waited, wondered if this was a mistake. Clayton opened the door. He looked tired, thinner. His eyes held wariness that hadn't been there before, and Francesca hated that she'd put it there. Francesca. Her name was a question, a hope, a hurt all at once. "Hi," her voice shook. "Can we talk?" He stepped aside, let her in. They walked through the cavernous house to a sitting room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the property. It was beautiful. It was lonely. "I heard you're leaving," she said, unable to meet his eyes. "News travels fast. Vivian told me. She's worried about you." "I'm fine." "You're not. Neither am I." Francesca forced herself to look at him. "I messed up, badly, and I need you to know I'm not here to make excuses. I'm here to apologize. Really apologize." Clayton sat in one of the expensive chairs, gesturing for her to sit. She perched on the edge of the sofa, feeling like she might shatter. "You were right," she continued. "About everything. I was being a coward. I was letting fear win, and I hurt you because I was too scared to believe I deserved to be loved by someone like you. Someone like me." His voice was carefully neutral. "Someone kind. Someone patient. Someone who saw me really, saw me and chose me anyway." She twisted her hands together. "I've spent the last month in therapy, working on the why, understanding where this fear comes from. And Clayton, I realized something." "What?" "I've been so focused on our age difference, I missed the real issue. It's not that you're younger, it's that I don't believe I'm enough. Period. Not at 40, not at 39, not at any age." Her voice cracked. "My ex-husband told me I wasn't enough. My father shows up once a year and acts like that's sufficient. Even my mother, who I know loved me, she died and left me alone when I needed her most. And some broken part of me decided that meant I'm fundamentally unlovable. That anyone who claims to love me is either lying or hasn't figured out the truth yet." Clayton's expression softened, but he didn't speak. "But you're not lying," Francesca said. "And you know the truth, all my flaws, all my baggage, all my impossible complications, and you chose me anyway. That terrified me. Because if you really love me, if this is real, then I have to risk it. I have to believe I'm worth it, and I didn't know how. And now?" His voice was quiet. "Now I'm trying. Every day. I look in the mirror, and I practice seeing what you see. Not the age, not the failures, just me. Francesca. 40 years old and still learning how to believe she's enough." She met his eyes. "I'm not perfect at it. I still have bad days. But I'm trying. And I wanted you to know that before you left. I wanted to say I'm sorry for pushing you away, for not fighting for us when you were fighting so hard, for being too scared to choose love." Silence stretched between them. Clayton's eyes were wet. "I'm still scared," Francesca whispered, "but I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you." Clayton laughed, a broken, beautiful sound. "You stole my line." It was a good line. It was a true line. He stood, crossed to her, and dropped to his knees in front of the sofa so they were eye level. "Francesca, I never stopped loving you. Not for a second. It killed me to walk away, but I meant what I said. I can't fight your battles for you. You have to believe you're worth loving. I'm getting there, slowly, but I'm trying." That's all I needed to hear. His hands found hers. "That you're trying, that you're not giving up on yourself, on us. So, does this mean you'll stay, not go to Europe?" "Actually," Clayton's smile was tentative, "I was hoping you'd come with me." Francesca's breath caught. "What?" "I don't need 6 months alone to figure out what I want. I know what I want. You, Jordan. A life that's real instead of this." He gestured at the massive house. "This museum to someone else's dreams. But I do need to figure out the company. What to do with it. Whether to sell or restructure or find someone else to run it. And I thought, maybe we could figure it out together. Take Jordan for the summer. Show him Europe. Give ourselves time away from the whispers and the judgment to just be. Clayton, I can't just leave for 6 months. I have the non-profit. Jordan has school. School's out in 2 weeks. And your second-in-command has been begging for more responsibility. You told me that yourself. This isn't running away. It's choosing us. Choosing to build something together without all the noise." Francesca's mind was racing. Europe, for the summer, the 3 of them. "What about the people who'll say I'm taking advantage of you?" she asked. That I'm with you for your money? Then they're idiots, and we don't listen to them. Clayton squeezed her hands. Francesca, there will always be people with opinions. Always. But we can't live our lives trying to prove them wrong. We just have to live. Together. However that looks. I'm 40 years old. I know. You're 28. Still doing math, I see. Despite everything, she smiled. Someone has to. How about this? Clayton pulled her closer. You're 40. I'm 28, and we have right now. Tomorrow. Maybe a summer in Europe if you're brave enough to say yes. That's all any of us get the time we have. So what do you say? Will you waste it counting years, or will you spend it with me? Francesca looked at him, really looked. At the man who'd driven her to the hospital, who'd rented go-kart tracks and brought flowers to basketball games and bought a dress he knew she'd love, who'd fought for her when she wouldn't fight for herself, who'd walked away to give her space to grow and welcomed her back when she finally did. Yes, she whispered. Yes to Europe. Yes to us. Yes to being terrified and choosing love anyway. Clayton's smile was like sunrise. Yeah? Yeah. He kissed her then, deep and certain and full of promise. When they broke apart, both of them were crying. I need to ask Jordan, Francesca said. About Europe. It's his summer too. Already did. Last week, he said, and I quote, obviously yes. Mom needs to get over herself, and you two need to get back together. Also, I want to see the Eiffel Tower. Francesca laughed through her tears. Of course you asked him first. He's part of this. Part of us. Clayton stood, pulling her up with him. Which brings me to something else. There's more? One more thing. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Francesca's heart stopped. Clayton, I'm not proposing, not yet. Not until you're ready. He opened the box to reveal a delicate ring with a single green stone. This is a promise. That I'll wait as long as it takes. That I'm not going anywhere. That when you're ready, not when you're perfect, but when you're ready, I'll be here. It's beautiful. It's a peridot, August birthstone, for your mother. He slipped it on her right hand. So she's with us. Always. Francesca completely fell apart then. He held her while she cried for her mother, for the time they'd lost, for the fear she'd carried, for the love she'd almost thrown away. When she finally pulled herself together, she found Jordan and Vivian waiting in the hallway, both of them grinning. Did she say yes? Jordan asked Clayton. To Europe, yes. To forever, not yet. But I'm patient. Jordan rolled his eyes. She'll say yes. She's annoyingly in love with you. Jordan, Francesca protested, but she was smiling. They spent the evening planning Jordan, making lists of everything he wanted to see, Vivian insisting on helping pack, Clayton making calls to arrange everything. And Francesca watched her family because that's what they were now, and felt 40 years old and impossibly young all at once. That night, after Jordan and Vivian left, Clayton walked her to her car. Thank you, he said, for being brave enough to come back. Thank you for being patient enough to let me. One more thing. He pulled her close. I love you. Your age, your fears, your impossible strength, your beautiful heart. All of it. And I'm going to keep loving you at 50 and 60 and however old we get to be. So you might as well get used to it. I love you too, Francesca said, and meant it with everything she had. Every stubborn, persistent, too good to be true part of you. He kissed her under the stars, and it felt like a beginning. 6 months later, on a winter evening in Paris, Clayton got down on one knee in front of the Eiffel Tower while Jordan filmed on his phone, and Francesca cried happy tears. She said yes. They were married the following summer in a small ceremony at Mel's Diner, terrible coffee, perfect pie, and everyone who mattered. Francesca wore a simple dress. Clayton cried through his vows. Jordan served as best man and made a speech about how his mom finally stopped being scared and chose happiness. She's 41 now, he told the gathered crowd. Clayton's 29, and they're the happiest people I know, so maybe love really is bigger than math. It was. Francesca learned that some truths take 40 years to discover. That age is just a number when love is real. That being scared doesn't mean you can't be brave. That sometimes the best chapters come when you stop counting pages and start living the story. And every morning, when she looked in the mirror, she saw what Clayton saw, a woman worthy of love, exactly as she was. 41, 42, 50, 60, the numbers would keep changing. But the love, that would stay constant. Forever young, forever real, forever enough. Thank you for staying with this story till the end. If you enjoyed it, the next one will completely pull you in. It's even more surprising and emotional than this. So don't miss it. Tap the video on your screen and continue the journey.